Well, I've spent 2 days trying to decide what we can talk about, and it finally hit me. You know what today is? It's February 1st. You know what tomorrow is? Of course you do. It's Groundhog Day, and I'm going to tell you a little story about one special Groundhog Day. Now, first of all, I've had complaints about the fact that I don't look at my audience when I'm talking. Actually, I'm looking at myself, and that doesn't work. I'm supposed to be looking right down here, right there. That's where I'm supposed to be looking, because that's where the camera is. Now, it's kind of hard to look at a bare spot on the wall when I can turn around and look at myself in my pretty black glasses and hope my hair is combed right and my blouse is straight, and that sort of thing. That's what I have a tendency to watch myself doing my video, but instead I'm going to come right over here. I'm going to watch, well, here it is, right there. See where my finger is, the end of my finger? That's where I'm supposed to be looking, and that's not easy to do because you really like to be looking at someone, and the only someone is me. So much for that. Let's go back to Groundhog Day. No, I don't want to go there first. I went shopping yesterday. It had rained. It looked rainy. Oh, how it's going to rain. And I tried to talk myself out of going shopping, but I needed to go to the bank. I'd waited too long. I had to get to the bank, do a little business there. So I grabbed my lipstick, put it on, ran the comb through my hair real fast, and grabbed my jacket, and I was gone. Well, after I finished at the bank, it's like this. Home Goods is so close to my bank, it just seemed the natural thing to do was run by there and see if they had anything new that gotten in recently. Because it's been a few weeks now since I've been there. And I don't like to go too long without at least checking out the merchandise because they get some awful pretty stuff in, and it's mighty tempting. It's so tempting. You gotta buy something. I think they already know that I can't leave that store without buying something, even if it's just a package of gumdrops. And I did do that too. So, anyway, I got several things. Got some pretty things. And you'll get to see one or two of them as I do my tablescape performances. And I'd already shown you the one for Valentine's Day. It doesn't look like Valentine's Day, but it's got the right colors, and it's got the pretty lady in it and that sort of thing. But since I'm talking about Valentine's Day, I want to remind you of a story I told you. I don't know if it was last year or my first year on YouTube, but I think it's entitled A Valentine for Margaret. I just happened to think about that. It's such a good story. I want you to go back and I want you to read or to watch that story because it's a favorite of mine. And the lady that told me that story is about the same age as my sister Jeanette. They went to high school together in Tennessee. Well, It's been about a year and a half now. Her name was Jean. Jean, her son had just died. She only had one child. Her husband's been gone a few years. And she was my neighbor when I was living there. We just 2 doors apart from each other. And I could go down and sit on her front porch. She had both a glider and a swing covered porch. And it was really just a very cozy place to just sit and talk. And anyway, Jean had told me the story about Margaret. It's about when they were in elementary school. I don't want to give you any more information than that because I want you to go to that story. I didn't look it up. I may come back on after I get through here and tell you what number it is because I think if you have not read it, you want to go back and see A Valentine for Margaret. Jean herself, her son died first. You don't expect your children to go before you do. She had 2 houses. She lived in one. The one next door to her had belonged to her aunt. And her son was living there. He was not married, but he would come over every night and eat dinner with Jean. And we learned that he had died. Well, somehow, that just doesn't seem right. Why would the son go before the mother, especially when the mother is already over 90 years old and she has no one else to care for her? But it wasn't long till Jean herself died, and that was in June of 23. This is her story, and I want you to be sure and watch it and let me know what you think about it. Now we'll go to Groundhog Day. Today's February 1st, Saturday. Tomorrow we'll find out if the groundhog sees his shadow. Here I go again with my Kleenex. That's part of my program. I guess that's what I'll be known for, is blowing my nose. Sorry, I hate to do this, but it's either this or you're going to see me doing this all the time. And that's not very pretty. So anyway, let's go on. Groundhog Day. I don't think I've told you this story. This was a Groundhog Day in 1994. That's been 31 years ago. It started like this. The night before I'd gone to bed, I had eaten a pizza for supper. I'd never had pizza bother me before. Why should it now? But it was about midnight. I woke up. Oh gosh, I felt so sick. And I felt like something was around my chest, choking me. But there wasn't anything there. But I could feel it was like a vice. What's wrong? I've never had anything like this before. And it wasn't long till I was rushing to the bathroom, upchucking. Oh, I must have a virus. Over the years, I've had a few of those, what we call a 24-hour virus. And that's usually what I call it when I get sick like that. Okay, took care of that. I, of course, bent down over the toilet and did my business, and I'm back in bed, thinking I was going to be all right. Well, I wasn't all right. It started building up again. and the chest was getting tighter. It's like somebody taking a big wide belt, wrapped it around, and was pulling. I'd never had anything like that. Okay, I suppose 15, 20 minutes had passed. Again, I was out of that bed and in the bathroom, down on the floor. Ugh. Back to the bed. The third time it happened, I'm starting to get a little bit weak. What in the world is wrong? I had a plastic wastebasket. I set it beside my bed just in case I couldn't make it to the bathroom in time. I also got some plastic garbage bags. I had them handy too. Because if I couldn't get to the bathroom in time, that meant I wasn't going to be able to empty that wastebasket. I needed plastic bags. Okay, this went on every 15 minutes. I was getting weaker and weaker. What was I going to do? I finally decided I can't get out of the bed now. The wastebasket's right there where I could get my hands on it. It's almost 6 o'clock in the morning. I've got to do something. So I called my neighbor next door. My neighbor next door happened to be my landlady. 6 a.m. I'm calling her. And I said, Virginia, I am sick. I am so sick. Can you come over and bring your door key because I can't get out of the bed to unlock my door. Bring your door key with you. Well, 5 minutes she was there. And she sat beside me while I dry binged. It was awful. And I hated that she was having to experience this. But nothing would come up. No more. There was no more. I was dry heaving. And she finally said, Pat, do you want me to call an ambulance? And I said, yes. Now, telling you that is, I have to tell you the rest before that. My children always knew, oh, I'll get over it. I'll get over it. I'll be all right in a few minutes. No, I'm not going to the emergency room. No, I'm not going to the hospital. I'll be okay tomorrow. I just refused I refused medication. Give me a pill, I'll take a pill. But I'm not going to the doctor and I'm not going to the hospital. She said, I'll call for an ambulance. So she did. Now, it just so happened that the fire department, just about 3 blocks down the street from me, and here they came, parked in front of my house. It was still dark because it was end of January. Still dark. My neighbors over across the railroad tracks saw the fire truck and the ambulance in front of my house. And it was easy to see because my house set up, in other words, you had to climb 13 steps to get to my front door. So the lady living in that house, she could see everything that was going on, and she just happened to be the daughter of one of the girls I worked with. And the first thing she did was run to the phone and call her mother. And she said, There's a fire truck and ambulance in front of Pat's house. Okay. They hauled me down the steps into that ambulance, and we headed for Oak Ridge. Oak Ridge, 11 miles away. We headed for the hospital to the emergency room. They took me straight in. Virginia stayed with me. She sat in the room with me while, and finally a lady doctor came. She came in. They gave me a shot of something, and it stopped the vomiting. I felt fine. I'm just fine, but I'm on a gurney. Have you ever been on a gurney before? Well, in the first place, they're just about this wide. And if you're on it, you got no place for your arms. You have to hold your arms like this, or they just fall off to the sides. It's not a comfortable position. But Virginia sat over in the chair waiting. We're waiting for the doctor to come in, give me a report. And she was a wonderful doctor. I will definitely say that. I learned that as time went by. She told me I had just passed gallstones. Gallstones? Yes, and you are going to have gallbladder surgery. I've never been in a hospital in my life. No. She said, yes. She said, the poisons have built up in your pancreas, but we think you've passed the gallstones. But with the poison in your pancreas, we're going to have to wait. Now, this was on Monday morning, early Monday morning. Of course, I'm going to have to go to work. My hair was frizzy from having rolled it the night before, and it hadn't been combed. The gown I had on was cotton gown, looked to the knees. It looked like it had been rolled up and run through the wringer of the washing machine. It was so wrinkled. I was a mess, a total mess. So she said, we're going to schedule your surgery for Friday. Now, this is Monday. We're going to schedule your operation for Friday morning. Well, I'm feeling fine. I'm not hurting. I'm not throwing up. I'm not anything. Why can't I just go home? And I said to her, well, why don't I just go home and come back Friday morning? That's a dumb thing to say to a doctor. She said, Miss O'Neill, you have had a death-threatening situation here. You could have died. I could have died. I feel fine now. You're not going home. Well, a young intern is in the room, and as he passes me on that gurney, I said, but I've got to go home. The photographers are coming. That young intern turned and looked at me like Godzilla. He was looking at Godzilla. I looked so horrible. And I said, the photographers are not coming to take my picture. They're going to take pictures of my house. And I thought, oh, this young man's about the handsomest thing I've ever seen. I don't know why it works that way. When you look your worst, that's when the handsome men come along and you're trying to pull a sack over your head so he can't see how bad you look. So anyway, I quickly explained to him, no, I'm not going to be the subject of the photography. So I stayed there. Virginia calls my sister. She waited, give my sister time to get out of bed and moving around into the kitchen. And she said, I'm at Oak Ridge Hospital with Pat. What's Pat doing at Oak Ridge Hospital? Virginia explained the situation, but she has no way to get home. So my sister says, well, I'll get dressed and I'll be right over. And so she came and she took Virginia home, and then she came back and she stayed with me during the day, and we got situation taken care of, scheduling, and there was a lady in the room with me whose daughter was there, and she was a nurse. And when I told her the doctor that was going to do the surgery, she explained to me, she's a wonderful doctor. You got the right one. So anyway, that got cleared out. And my sister, next thing she does is she calls my daughter Jan and says, your mother is in the hospital. My mother's in the hospital? What for? She said. She explained to her. Gallbladder. She's going to have gallbladder surgery. Said she called the ambulance this morning at 6 o'clock. And first thing Jan said was, my mother called an ambulance. She's sick. So, of course, she came, and my son was in Evansville, and the next day he came, but the surgery didn't take place until Friday. But it happened to be Groundhog Day. The next morning after I got there, everybody talking about the groundhog. Would the groundhog see his shadow? So you see, I had my surgery. Everything went fine. I was as sore as if you had beaten me with a baseball bat, but that's to be expected. And so my kids came, and they went, and everything's back to normal. And I was back to having decorated my house so the photographer and stylist could come and do the photography for Country Accents magazine. So 31 years ago today, I was in Oak Ridge Hospital waiting for gallbladder surgery. Came through it just fine, as you can see. So every year, February 2nd, I think, yeah, that's when I went to the hospital. It was on Groundhog Day. So I knew you would enjoy this story. There are a few things to laugh about. I think I had the best doctor in the hospital. I got over it. I went to London. You've heard that story time and again. Got my pictures in the magazine. And here I am now looking out the window and thinking, is the groundhog going to see his shadow tomorrow morning? I think he will. It's such a beautiful day today. Now, does it mean if he sees his shadow, he goes back in and we get 6 more weeks of winter? Or is it that if he doesn't see his shadow, we have 6 more weeks of winter? Whatever it is, we can handle it because we've already had our snow. I'm going to call it the big snow for the year because hopefully it is, and we won't have another one. Now, I'm looking at myself. I'm watching myself, in the camera. And I thought, well, while winter's still here, I wanted to wear my animal print shirt. Now, this is another Goodwill shirt. My sister says, don't tell everybody that you buy your clothes at Goodwill. I said, well, I don't see anything wrong with it. It's a good buy. It's a nice looking shirt, I think. And I thought, well, I need a little bit of jewelry. Okay. I ran across this, oh gosh, you wouldn't believe how much vintage jewelry Jan and I have. It's almost shameful. But we enjoy it. We like going through it. She's selling part of it, and we keep the pieces we like best for ourselves. Well, I've had this a long time. I just thought it was just a little locket, something like that. Didn't even know it opened up, but it does, and I want to show it to you. Let me get a little closer to the camera. I don't know if you can see this very well or not. I'm trying to get it on with a solid background, too much light, but you can see the pretty little design. Now, oh, look, it opens. Hold on there. Ah, let me show you. You're going to like this. You see what it is? It's a watch. It's got Roman numerals. Let's see if I can get it in a position that you can see the face. Put it up here next to my face. Can you see those Roman numerals? There you go. Look how pretty that is. That's the back side. Oh, let's turn it back over. And you see the front side. Just as pretty. So, I think I'm going to keep it. I don't know if it's worth anything or not, but I'm going to take it next week to Feather Your Nest, and one of the dealers in the antique shop works on jewelry. In fact, I bought this ring from him, and he has a collection of pocket watches. Oh, they're just gorgeous. One of them is, wow, it's in gold. It's just beautiful. Every time I go in Feather Your Nest, I stand at that counter and I look down. He got about a dozen pocket watches all lined up in the glass case, and I think, oh, to have a collection like that. But what does a woman do with a collection of men's pocket watches? I have a friend who also collects pocket watches, and I've often wished he could go in Feather Your Nest and take a look at Phil's collection. So I'm going to go in next week. I'm going to take this little watch with me, and I'm going to see if it's worth anything. And if it is, I'm going to let Phil go into it. I'm going to let him fix this watch for me. And I'm going to wear it a lot. I should, don't you think? Anyway, I really like it. I never thought I would, but I do. And these are my pair of my vintage earrings. Funny thing about my earrings, I have those certain ones that usually I put together because they come in handy for most of the things that I wear, especially turquoise. I've got 3 or 4 pair of turquoise earrings that go with any turquoise top that I wear, and I like them all. But what happens is when I get ready, put my clothes on, and I reach for a pair of earrings, I can only find one. The other one missing. Where is it? Let's see if I've got some here. Yeah, I do have. I hunted and I hunted. Look at these. I think these are gorgeous. And I think Jan had these first. But look at these earrings. Aren't they pretty? Well, I don't wear them much because with my hair so short, it's too much earring, I think. Well, too much for these too, but I felt like they worked better than these. But aren't these gorgeous earrings? Wait a minute, get these things still so that you can see them good. I think they're just gorgeous. And let's see these right here. Oh, I made these. I know I did. Let me get the other one. Put these in the back. See, this is why I can't find my earrings, because they're stuck in a little dish over here on the table. I made these. These are parts I put together. I'm going to try my best. They're kind of hard to see. See if I can hold it. I want you to see the front side. Well, get it against there. That's a little, kind of little filigree type. But these are an excellent pair. They go with anything. I have several others like this too. So you can see the kind of earrings I wear most of the time. I don't wear necklaces much anymore because I've usually got on jeans. And I never ever thought pretty necklaces, rhinestone necklace just didn't go with blue jeans and tennis shoes. But then again, I have to think about that twice because lately I've noticed when you see pictures of weddings, the groom will have on a good-looking tuxedo and he's got on a pair of white tennis shoes. Right? You'll have to agree with me. A pair of tennis shoes. And she's got on this beautiful white netting and satin and silk wedding dress. And the beautiful veil that goes down through there. And there she stands beside a man in a black tux with a pair of white tennis shoes on. There's a limit, folks. There's a limit to the extreme when it comes to fashion. I saw one. I don't know if I saw it on TV or if I was looking on YouTube. One of the big designers, you know. Long string of models. Why do the models have to look like the dog just died? Why do they have to look like they're ready to go jump off a cliff? Of course, I can't say much for the outfit they're wearing, because, tell you the truth, if I had to wear some of those outfits, I'd probably want to jump off a cliff too. But they've got the best of the best. And I would just love to see a style show where the girls come out there smiling, looking happy, and making themselves look pretty. But no, the dog didn't just die. They just act like it did. I guess it makes it easier to get that look on your face if you think about it that way. No, that style show didn't do a thing for me. No way in this world. I like women to look feminine, men to look masculine. If I was a designer, I'd still be doing clothes from the 1950s. And I'd still be wearing them too. But now I'm wearing Goodwill shirts. I kind of like this shirt. It's sort of a cottony. It's nice. And I like 3/4 length sleeves too. You don't get those airplane wings showing like this, you know. You know what I'm talking about. So my hair's still holding up. It's not as shiny as I would like it to be. I got some of that purple shampoo. Lady recommended her hair was just silvery white, and I thought, boy, my hair can look like that. Yeah, I'll buy a whole lot of that shampoo. But so far, it hadn't reached that point, and I think it needs to grow a little bit so that you can appreciate the silver in my hair. I do like my haircut. I'll keep it this way a while longer because it's not quite ready to be cut again. I like it this length, and I hope, well, it doesn't matter whether you like it or not. It's my choice. So, folks, I'm going to go fix me something to eat. And let me tell you something. I made a meatloaf 2 days ago. It's gotten to where it seems like everything I fix special anymore. It goes blah. I think, what's wrong with it? What's wrong with the meat? Must be the meat. Must be the meat. This time, it was ground chuck, and the meatloaf was big enough that I put it in 2 large loaf pans. I'm going back and forth from one loaf pan to the other, and I'm having mashed potatoes and coleslaw. You can't do any better than that. Tonight, I think I'm going to add cornbread to it because that's the kind of meal that you eat cornbread. And I make cornbread like my mother did. Can't top that. So I can't think of anything else right now to talk about. You've seen my shirt, or you've seen my jewelry, and you know that tomorrow morning we're going to find out whether or not the groundhog sees his shadow. Now I'm going to move this a little bit because there's something I just love. Isn't that pretty? There's the little English spaniel. That's my sister's picture right over here. And I bought the lamp from a friend. Love the lamp. In fact, the bird I bought from a friend, I have to tell you about this friend. She's the daughter of a girl and her husband that I went to high school with. Now, folks, we're talking about 70 years ago. Denise is the daughter. When her mother died, they waited a while before they had the estate sale. And Jan and I went to Louisville. This was a couple that I don't know how much good you can say about someone and convince others that they were that good. The husband is still living. The mother died suddenly. She was one of the sweetest ladies I've ever known. Her daughter was the one doing the estate sale. And that little bird, the little robin there, had belonged to her mother, my friend, and I bought the bird from her. So it's always a reminder of the good days when we were young and we were having our babies and we were taking care of our babies together, walking them down the street in our strollers and babysitting for each other whenever it was necessary. So, no matter how long it's been, you miss them. Yeah, those are the friends you miss. So, her husband's still there. I sent him a birthday card. I sent him one of those cards that, the pop-up cards, you know the kind I'm talking about. Let's see. Oh, I can't reach it. You know, the pop-up kind that shows the flowers and things. And you know, he's very artistic. And she told me that her dad took that little pop-up card and set it down in a flower pot where the flowers would look like they were growing out of that flower pot. I thought that was so sweet. So, anyway, I've been on here for 43 minutes now. That's long enough for anybody. That's what my sisters would say. It's long enough for anybody. But I keep on going. And I get the impression that if you don't keep a story or something going often, sometimes some people go on every day on YouTube. I can't do that. I don't have that many stories stored in my head. I do well to know what day of the week it is, much less try to remember another story to entertain my viewers. But it bothers me a little bit that if I don't keep a new story coming on, you lose the attention of your viewers. I soon will have 400 stories that I have told on YouTube. Stories. Some of them, a few of them, I'm in the kitchen cooking. That's because my viewers want me to cook. I don't prefer it because I don't think, it just isn't my thing. I'm better at storytelling. So, this, I think, is number 393 or 4. I'll check and see. 6 or 7 more stories. I will have given you 400 stories. They're all numbered. You can start with number 1. Number 1 is I'm in the kitchen making strawberry trifle, my first video. You might want to go back and watch that one. Another one that I recommended to a friend a few days ago was number 29. It was called Granny Pat Performs Live. Yes, I was on stage telling a story. It went over well. It was only 5 minutes long, but it was a full 5 minutes. You need to watch that one. Then this same person said they'd like to see another funny story. So I think I went to number 79. I'm not sure, but I think that one was called Your Laugh for the Day. I've got a few sad stories. I don't like to do the sad stories, partly because I cry. I can't tell a sad story without crying. And I really don't want to get people in a sad mood. But some of my sad stories are very good stories. And on occasion, I will tell one. But I think if you started with number 1, watched me make strawberry trifle, you might want to go on to number 2. And I don't remember what it was about, but I'd say it's probably worth watching, or I wouldn't have left it among the others. So, for your own pleasure, do what I suggest. Go back and start with number 1. And if you're one of those people that like to watch a video before you go to sleep at night, do them in the order that they're numbered. That way you won't wonder, have I already seen this one? You keep up with them. And let me know when you get to number 400. I'm thinking about going through them myself because I've forgotten what I told you. I can look at the title and think, what was that story about? So I have to watch it and see. And I may have told a few of them twice, but it won't be the exact same story. I'll have mentioned something twice. So stay with me, folks. I enjoy telling the stories to you, and I know what it's like to be elderly. I'll soon be 89, you know. I know what it feels like to be alone, living alone. No place to go, nothing to do. Television, I don't even turn it on anymore. I never thought that day would come. I used to depend on my television and my favorite programs, but there are no favorite programs anymore. There's none that will draw me unless it happened to be an old movie from the 1940s and 50s. I will watch them, but that's all. So I've said enough. I don't know anything else I can tell you except that I'm getting hungry. I'm going in and I'm going to have meatloaf sandwich tonight. Don't like cold sandwiches. I heat my meatloaf and I have my meatloaf sandwich and a dish of coleslaw, and I make good coleslaw. So I'll let you know when I've got a new story coming up. Keep watching me. It helps me a lot if I know you're there. And I get such wonderful comments from you. I got one the other day from a young man. I'm going to say he's a young man. Anybody that's younger than I am is a young man living in Florida. He was telling me that his mother from Italy had come to live with him. And I learned that he lives in the same community where my nephew lives. I'm hoping that the two of them can get together sometime, because I can tell you this, my nephew is a fun person and you would enjoy him, and he can play a guitar too. Does a good job on the guitar. So keep that in mind. Keep me in mind that I depend on you for my livelihood. And I think for some of you, you depend on me too. And I'm going to do my best to keep you watching me, because my life is not much different than yours. We see the same things. We talk about the same things. We either enjoy life or we don't. It can come and it can go. And I'm hoping that each time you watch one of my videos, I leave you satisfied. Thank you so much for watching me tonight. Bye-bye.